Buongiorno a tutti. It's a great honor for me to chair this next session and say some words of introduction. Unfortunately, my co-chair, Dennis Laurent from Marseille, is not well, and we send him our warm wishes for a speedy recovery. Dear friends, especially Professor Carlo Corella, a biochemist, and in any biochemical reaction you need a catalyst or an enzyme. And the enzyme for this meeting is sitting there photographing is Dr. Sandro Dernini, who has really put in days like nights and nights like days to get this organization. And what I'm going to say in my first words of introduction is to show you the fruit of our labors yesterday, from early morning till late evening, to produce a new modern Mediterranean lifestyle pyramid. As you can see from this slide, if we can have the lights down, please. Organize the lights. Really, I put in red at the top what I call the theoretical or original or the Platonic idea of what the Mediterranean diet, which historically, thanks to the works of Ansel Keys and then lately from the Trikopoulou family, husband and wife, we have a diet that was found to be very helpful, which represented the diet in Crete before 1960s, obviously having a much longer historical and cultural heritage. And then this diet, because if one wanted to define a Mediterranean diet, could be the diet of countries around the Mediterranean. I mean, it's and that represents many different cultures, as well as food habits. So there are, from the original diet, it's evolved into country-specific variations. So we bore that in mind. And then there were a number of considerations, which I'm going to show you now, and you'll have to bear with me because I can't use a pointer. We identified at least 15 topics that we had to try and deal with. I'm just going to highlight a few. And number 4, food is the fuel of humanity. It is the fuel of the economy. And like your cars, we heard about the Ferrari, well, we can't actually get to that, but we want our cars to work on the highest octane fuel. In the same way, we want our bodies to have the best fuel, 98 or 100 octane. Unfortunately, in the world, there are problems of food security. And a lot of people are going around on 50 to 60 octane fuel. They don't get their best potential either physically or mentally or socially. Their motors go, but they don't go well. So we want everybody to get the right fuel, but just in moderation, another problem. Because 50% are undernourished and 50%, especially in Europe, are overnourished with obesity. We want to talk about cultural diversity, country cuisines that are different, and the local traditional products, which are very important in the Mediterranean region. There's temporal variation, number 7, and the problems of seasonality. There are the problems that we can't recommend ideas or food or lifestyle to people who can't do it or can't afford the food. So there is a socio-economic aspect. It so happens that the lower the socio-economic sectors have the highest obesity. Diversity, number 9, and that's really of 3 pillars as Stefan helped us with. There's biological diversity, cultural diversity, and environmental diversity. There's the elephant in the room. What's the elephant in the room? While we're talking high about proper nutrition, there's fast food, number 12, and soft drinks. And we have to relate to them. What's the hamburgers? What's the pizza kebab? That's an interesting combination that I just heard about. French fries, Chinese foods, all these things are with us. They weren't 50 years ago with the traditional Mediterranean diet. What happens? How do we relate to them? I'm going to raise more questions and I'm going to give you the answers on the next slide. And finally, there are the commercial interests. And in particular, we as a group of nutritionists, scientists, anthropologists, we were being taken over by our colleagues across the Atlantic in North America. And they produced a copyrighted Mediterranean diet pyramid. And our mission, thanks to Sandro, was to produce our own version with no patent and no copyright by any organization. It is open to all for the good of Mediterranean countries. Now I'm going to show you what we produced yesterday. The whole process was a bit like electing the Pope. We had to sit until the smoke came out of our discussion room. This is version number 4, and I'm going to go through it with you from the bottom up. This is work in progress. This is not the final, because we still want to digest it, but it's really a very major step forward. Now, let me just remind, for people who are not familiar with the mechanics of a pyramid or the dynamics, is that in an organization like the European Union or the government or a big firm, the most important are at the top of the pyramid. In nutrition, it's the opposite. The bottom of the pyramid is the most important. At the very bottom, we have some general lifestyle and guiding principles. On the left, physical activity, followed by conviviality. What do we mean by conviviality? The social and aesthetic aspects of eating. You remember, a family that eats together stays together. We want people to enjoy the social aspects of eating. And then the two at the bottom are seasonality and local products, that we should be very well aware of the availability of food, food security, and make use of each country's own local products, which have been tried and tested and loved during many generations.